The bridge was still standing. It shouldn't have been. The river below moved slow and black, carrying thin sheets of ice that cracked softly against the stone supports. Each sound echoed too clearly in the night. Like something was listening. A cold wind swept along the surface, dragging mist across the water and up toward the road. It clung to the bridge. Wrapped around it. Refusing to let it go. Someone had failed. Or someone had chosen not to finish the job. Sergeant Markov stopped at the edge of the tree line and didn't move. Behind him, boots pressed into frozen ground. One after another. Careful. Measured. The sound of men trying not to exist. He raised a hand slightly. They halted. No one spoke. They didn't need to. The bridge lay ahead, cutting across the narrow river like a scar. Stone arches. Iron railings. Old construction. It had survived more than one war already. It wasn't supposed to survive this one. Markov narrowed his eyes, studying the structure through the shifting fog. He had seen reports. He had read the order himself. Destroy the crossing. Leave nothing usable behind. Clear instructions. Simple. And yet, there it was. Untouched. A faint creak rolled across the water. Wood? Metal? It was hard to tell. The kind of sound that made a man imagine movement even when there was none. One of the soldiers behind him shifted his weight. The snow gave a quiet crunch. Too loud. Markov didn't turn, but his voice came low. Careful. The word barely carried. Still, it landed. The man froze again. They all felt it. Something wrong. Not just the bridge. The air. Too still. No distant artillery. No engines. No voices. Even the wind seemed selective. Moving where it wanted. Avoiding certain places. Like the center of the bridge. Markov stepped forward. Slow. Each step deliberate. Testing the ground as if it might give way under him, even though it was solid earth. He reached the road. The snow here was thinner. Compressed. Used. He crouched. Gloved fingers brushed the surface. The texture told him enough. Tracks. Not old. Wheels. Several vehicles had passed recently. Heavy ones. He exhaled through his nose. A thin cloud formed and drifted sideways, caught by a lazy current of air. Behind him, a whisper. Sergeant. Markov lifted a hand again. Silence returned. He studied the tracks longer. They went across the bridge. From their side. Toward the other bank. No return marks. Nothing coming back. Which meant one of two things. They got through. Or they didn't need to come back. He straightened slowly. The fog shifted again, parting just enough to reveal more of the structure. The far side remained hidden, swallowed by a pale gray wall that seemed almost thicker. Deliberate. As if it was hiding something. Markov felt the familiar weight of decision settle onto his shoulders. Not sudden. Not sharp. Just heavy. Like it had been waiting. He glanced over his shoulder. 5 men. That's all they had. A reduced unit. Pulled from different places. Assigned together because there was no one else left to assign. None of them belonged to each other. But tonight, they did. There was Petrov. Young. Too young. His rifle looked slightly oversized in his grip. Next to him, Sidorenko. Older. Quiet. The kind of man who watched everything and said nothing unless it mattered. Then Mikhail. Broad shoulders. Breathing steady, but his eyes never stopped moving. And behind them, barely visible through the branches, was Anton. The radio operator. Though the radio had been silent for hours now. Maybe longer. Markov didn't ask. He already knew. No signal. No contact. Just the order. Find the bridge. Make sure it's destroyed. If not, finish it. Simple. He looked back at the structure. Still standing. Charges, he asked quietly. Anton stepped forward slightly, adjusting the pack on his shoulders. Still good, he whispered. If the detonators didn't freeze. A small pause. They might have. Markov nodded once. Expected. Nothing worked the way it was supposed to anymore. He turned his gaze toward the bridge again. The iron railings were coated with frost. Pale. Almost white. Like bones left out in the open. No lights. No movement. But the silence, it wasn't empty. It pressed. He could feel it. A distant crack echoed from somewhere upriver. Ice breaking. The sound traveled slowly, bending through the fog. For a moment, it sounded like something else. Like a step. Markov took another step forward. This time, onto the bridge itself. The sound changed immediately. From snow to wood beneath a thin layer of ice. A dull, hollow note. It carried. Too far. He stopped. Listened. Nothing answered. Still. He knew they were not alone. He didn't know why. He didn't know how. But the feeling settled deeper with every breath. He moved again, slower now. Each plank tested before weight followed. Behind him, the others waited. No one rushed to join him. Not yet. Halfway onto the bridge, he crouched again. There. A mark. Not from wheels. Not from boots. A dark stain, partially frozen. He leaned closer. Not fresh. But not old either. The kind of thing time hadn't decided what to do with yet. He stared at it longer than necessary. Then straightened. His eyes shifted toward the center of the bridge. The fog thickened there. Not natural. It swirled differently. Against the wind. Holding its shape. Markov's jaw tightened. Stay back, he said quietly. This time, no one argued. He moved forward alone. Step. Pause. Step. The world seemed to narrow with each movement. The edges fading. The trees behind him dissolving into shadow. Only the bridge remained. In the fog. He could hear his own breathing now. Slow. Measured. Controlled. He reached the midpoint. And stopped. The fog parted just slightly. Just enough. Something stood ahead. Not moving. Not clear. A shape. Human. Or something close to it. Markov didn't raise his weapon. Not yet. He just watched. The shape didn't react. Didn't shift. Didn't breathe. The silence stretched. Long enough to feel unnatural. Then. A sound. Soft. Behind him. A single step. On wood. Markov turned his head, just slightly. Too slow to be instinct. Too controlled to be fear. And in that moment, the shape ahead moved. The shape didn't rush. It didn't lunge. It simply shifted. As if it had always been moving, just too slowly for the eye to notice. Markov's breath caught in his throat. Not from fear. From confusion. Because for a moment, it looked like a man. Then the fog bent again, and it didn't. A voice came from behind him. Low. Tight. Sergeant, there's something on the road. Markov didn't answer. His eyes stayed forward. The shape ahead was clearer now. A coat. Long. Heavy. Military. But wrong. Too still. Too stiff. Like it had been left there and forgotten by time itself. The head tilted slightly. Just enough to suggest awareness. Markov felt it then. Not fear. Recognition. Not of the man. But of the moment. The kind of moment soldiers don't speak about. When something doesn't follow rules anymore. When orders stop making sense. The figure took a step forward. No sound. Not even the faint creak of wood. That was the first thing that broke the illusion. Everything made sound out here. Boots. Wind. Ice. Even silence had a texture. But not this. Markov's hand slowly moved to his rifle. He didn't raise it. Not yet. Behind him, the men were shifting again. More than before. The bridge responded with soft groans. With adjusting to weight. To presence. To something building. Sergeant, this time it was Anton, quieter than before. Tracks, they stop. That landed. Markov blinked once. Still watching the figure. Stop, he asked. Yes. A pause. They don't go across. The fog curled around Markov's boots. Cold seeped through the leather. He didn't look back. Didn't need to. He understood now. The tracks he saw before. They led onto the bridge. But not off it. His jaw tightened. How many? He asked. Anton hesitated. Too many. The answer lingered. Heavy. Unfinished. Markov exhaled slowly. The figure ahead took another step. Closer now. Close enough that the outline sharpened. A face. Almost. But not quite. Like something had been erased. Or never filled in properly. Markov raised his rifle. Not aiming. Just holding. A warning. Even if he didn't know to whom. The figure stopped. For the first time, it reacted. Its head turned slightly to the side. Listening. Not to Markov. To something else. Behind him. The men. A sudden metallic click echoed across the bridge. Too sharp. Too loud. Mikhail. Markov knew the sound instantly. Safety off. Too early. The figure's head snapped back. Directly toward Markov. The fog tightened around it, like a breath being held. And then. It stepped forward. This time, the wood answered. A faint creak. Real. Markov didn't wait. Hold your position, he said, low but firm. He stepped forward to meet it. One step. Then another. The distance closed. 10 meters. 8. 6. The air grew colder. Not gradually. Suddenly. Like crossing an invisible line. Markov's fingers stiffened slightly on the rifle. His breath came faster now. Not panic. Something else. Pressure. Like the world was narrowing around this one point. Stop, he said. The word left his mouth, but it felt small. Weak against the weight of the moment. The figure didn't stop. 4 meters. Markov could see details now. The coat was torn in places. Edges stiff with frost. There was something dark along the front. Old. Frozen. The face. No. Not a face. An absence. A place where a face should be. And yet. It was looking at him. He knew it. The certainty hit harder than fear. 3 meters. Markov raised the rifle fully now. Aimed center mass. Finger resting just before the trigger. The bridge groaned again. Longer this time. As if something beneath it shifted. Or woke. Behind him, Sidorenko's voice cut through the tension. Barely above a whisper. This isn't right. No one answered him. No one needed to. 2 meters. The figure slowed. Not stopping. Just matching Markov's stillness. Mirroring him. Markov felt something pull at his mind. A thought. Not his. A memory. Cold. Wet. Dark water. Men shouting. Then silence. He blinked hard. The image vanished. The figure tilted its head again. Studying him. Curious. Almost. Markov tightened his grip. "You don't belong here," he said quietly. It wasn't an order. It wasn't even a statement. Just something that needed to be said. The figure took one more step. 1 meter. Close enough now. Too close. Markov could see the frost forming along its coat in real time. Growing. Spreading. Like it was feeding on the air itself. Behind him. A sudden shout. Movement. Petrov. Too loud. Too fast. Markov didn't turn. But everything changed. The figure froze. Then slowly. It turned its head past Markov. Toward the others. Toward the edge of the bridge. Toward the road they came from. The fog behind Markov thickened rapidly. Rolling forward. Faster than before. Not drifting. Advancing. And within it. Shapes. More than one. Markov's pulse spiked. There it was. The truth. They weren't alone. They never were. Back. Markov barked. This time, the command carried force. The men didn't hesitate. Boots scraped. Wood cracked under sudden movement. Anton stumbled slightly, catching himself on the railing. The fog surged onto the bridge. Swallowing the far end first. Then the center. Then them. The figure in front of Markov didn't move. It simply stood there. As the others came closer. Now he could hear them. Not footsteps. Not voices. Something in between. Like breath passing through something broken. Markov stepped back. Slow at first. Then faster. The distance between him and the figure widened. But it didn't follow. It didn't need to. The fog was doing that for it. Charges. Markov shouted. Anton fumbled with his pack. Hands shaking now. No more calm. No more control. They're frozen, he yelled back. Markov cursed under his breath. The bridge groaned again. Louder. Deeper. From below. The river. Something shifted beneath the ice. A cracking sound rolled upward, through the stone supports. The entire structure trembled. For a brief second. Markov thought the bridge might collapse on its own. But it didn't. It held. Just like before. Like it was meant to. Like it was waiting. The fog closed in around them. Shapes forming and dissolving within it. Too many to count. Too close to ignore. Markov grabbed Anton's shoulder. Manual detonation. Now. Anton shook his head, panic breaking through. It won't. Now. The word cut through everything. Anton nodded. Hands moving again. Faster. Desperate. Behind them, Petrov fired. One shot. Loud. Sharp. It echoed across the river. And came back wrong. Distorted. Stretched. As if something had caught it, and twisted it. The shapes reacted. They moved faster. Closing in. Markov turned, raising his rifle. And the figure was gone. No step. No sound. Just, gone. His eyes widened. And then he felt it. Right beside him. Close. Too close. A presence at his shoulder. Cold. Empty. Watching. And then. A whisper. Not heard. Felt. Right behind his ear. Why wasn't it destroyed? The whisper didn't fade. It stayed. Not in the air, but somewhere deeper. Like it had found a place to sit inside his mind. Markov didn't turn immediately. He couldn't. His body locked for a fraction too long. Just enough to feel it. The cold. Not outside. Inside his chest. Behind him, chaos began to rise. Boots scraping. Voices breaking. Another shot cracked through the fog, then another. Too fast. No aim. Petrov again. Markov forced himself to move. He turned. Nothing. No figure. No shape. Only fog, thick and shifting, pressing in from all sides. But the feeling remained. Close. Watching. Waiting. Sergeant. Anton's voice shook now. I can't get the line. Do it manually, Markov snapped. I am. The words collided with the sound of metal clinking. Frozen equipment refusing to cooperate. Markov scanned the bridge. Visibility was collapsing. 10 meters, 5, less. The far end was gone completely. The road behind them was beginning to disappear too. They were being closed in. Not surrounded. Contained. Another creak rolled through the bridge. Louder. Longer. From below. The river ice was shifting again. Cracking in long, echoing lines that carried through the structure like distant thunder. Mikhail grabbed Petrov's arm. Stop shooting, he hissed. You can't see anything. I saw them. Petrov's voice broke. They're right there. There's nothing. A shape moved between them. Fast. Too fast. Petrov staggered back, slipping slightly on the frost-covered planks. His rifle jerked upward. Then stopped. Mid-air. Like something had caught it. No hands. No body. Just resistance. Petrov froze. His breath turned ragged. Sergeant, he whispered. Markov stepped forward immediately. But something held him back. Not physically. Instinct. The same quiet warning that had been building since they stepped onto the bridge. Don't rush. Don't break the moment. Don't give it what it wants. The fog curled tighter around Petrov. His outline blurred. Then sharpened. Then blurred again. Like he was flickering in and out of place. Let go, Markov said, calm but firm. Petrov's eyes snapped toward him. I can't. The rifle trembled in his grip. Then slowly. It lowered. Not by his will. By something else. Mikhail stepped in, grabbing Petrov's shoulder. Leave it, he said. Just leave it. Petrov hesitated. Just a second. Then released the rifle. It didn't fall. It stayed. Hanging. Suspended in the air. Markov's pulse slowed. Not from calm. From focus. This wasn't random. This wasn't chaos. There was a pattern. There was intent. And somewhere inside it. A reason. The whisper returned. Closer this time. Clearer. Why? Markov clenched his jaw. He didn't answer. He wouldn't. The question didn't belong to him. Anton shouted suddenly. I've got it. That cut through everything. Hope. Sharp. Sudden. Dangerous. Markov turned toward him. Anton was crouched near the edge of the bridge, hands working quickly now, connecting wires with stiff fingers. 2 minutes, he said. Too long. Far too long. The fog surged again. This time, it came from both ends. Closing the last gaps. The world shrank to a narrow stretch of wood beneath their boots. And within the fog. Figures. Clearer now. Not just shapes. Men. Dozens of them. Standing. Walking. Some dragging themselves forward. Some frozen mid-step. All silent. All wrong. Their uniforms didn't match. Different units. Different sides. Different times. All caught here. Together. Markov felt the weight of it settle. The tracks. They didn't cross the bridge. Because nothing crossed the bridge. It took them. Held them. Kept them here. Petrov backed away slowly, eyes wide. "They're soldiers," he whispered. Sidorenko finally spoke. They were. The distinction mattered. The figures didn't rush. Didn't attack. They simply moved closer. Closing distance. Filling space. Like water rising. Markov stepped back toward his men. Forming a tighter group. Not by order. By instinct. "Listen to me," he said, low and steady. "We hold position. No more shooting." Petrov shook his head. "They're everywhere." "They're not touching us," Markov cut in. "Not yet." That word hung in the air. Not yet. Because something was holding them back. Something was keeping the line. Markov's eyes moved slowly across the bridge. Searching. Finding it. The center. That same unnatural stillness. Even now. Even with everything else moving. There was a boundary. And they were standing right on it. The realization came quietly. But once it did. It didn't leave. "This bridge," Markov said softly. No one answered. But they were listening. "It's not broken," he continued. "It's waiting." Anton looked up briefly, confused. "For what?" Markov didn't respond immediately. His eyes stayed on the figures. On the way they moved. Not randomly. Not aimlessly. They were circling. Keeping distance. Respecting something. Or someone. The whisper came again. Right behind him. Clear. Almost patient. "Why wasn't it destroyed?" "This time." Markov answered. Quietly. Before he could stop himself. "Because we were late." The moment the words left his mouth. Everything shifted. The figures stopped. All at once. Every movement froze. The fog stilled. Even the wind dropped. A silence fell that was deeper than before. Not empty. Expectant. Markov felt it immediately. He had said the wrong thing. Or the right thing. He couldn't tell which. The suspended rifle beside Petrov dropped suddenly. Clattering loudly against the wood. The sound exploded across the bridge. And this time. It didn't echo back. It was swallowed. The figures moved again. Faster now. Closer. The boundary was breaking. Anton's voice cracked. 1 minute. Too long. Still too long. Mikhail raised his weapon again. "Sergeant." "Wait," Markov said. The word came out calm. Too calm. Because something had changed. The figures weren't advancing blindly anymore. They were focusing. On him. Only him. The space around Markov cleared slightly. Not by retreat. By intention. They were giving him room. The whisper came one last time. Right in front of him now. No longer behind. No longer hidden. Then, finish it. Markov didn't hesitate. He stepped forward. Alone. Back toward the center of the bridge. The figures didn't stop him. Didn't follow. They watched. Anton shouted behind him. "Sergeant, what are you doing?" Markov didn't turn. Didn't answer. He reached the midpoint again. The same place. The same spot where everything had begun. The wood beneath his boots creaked softly. Alive. Waiting. He looked down. There. Barely visible beneath the frost. Old charges. Failed ones. Frozen in place. Abandoned. The original demolition team had made it this far. And no further. Markov knelt slowly. His fingers brushed the frozen wires. Brittle. Useless. But the placement. Still correct. He understood now. They hadn't failed. They had been stopped. Just like this. The realization settled deep. Cold. Final. Behind him, Anton's voice trembled. 30 seconds. Markov exhaled slowly. Then reached for his own detonator. Different system. Crude. Manual. Unreliable. But enough. If it worked. If anything still worked. He pressed the device into place. Hands steady. Mind clear. For the first time since they arrived. Everything made sense. The bridge wasn't meant to stand. It wasn't meant to fall. It was meant to choose. And now. It had. Markov tightened his grip on the trigger. The figures leaned closer. Not touching. Not interfering. Just watching. Waiting. And then. A hand closed over his wrist. Cold. Weightless. But undeniable. Stopping him. Right before the detonation. The hand didn't squeeze. It didn't pull. It simply held. Firm enough to stop him. Light enough to feel uncertain. Markov didn't look up right away. His eyes stayed on the detonator. On the thin line between action and hesitation. His breath moved slowly. In. Out. The cold in his chest had settled into something else now. Not fear. Not even tension. Clarity. Behind him, the world was barely there anymore. The bridge. The men. The fog. All of it felt distant. Muted. Like he had stepped out of time for a moment that belonged only to him. And whatever was holding his wrist. Let go, he said quietly. Not an order. Not defiance. Just a request. The hand didn't move. But the pressure changed. Softer now. Almost uncertain. Markov lifted his gaze. Slowly. Carefully. The figure stood in front of him again. Closer than before. Close enough that the absence of its face felt heavier than any expression. And yet. There was something there now. Not visible. But understood. A question. Not the same as before. Not why. Something deeper. Something that didn't need words. Markov swallowed. His voice came low. You're waiting. The figure didn't respond. But the air shifted slightly. Like a breath had passed between them. Markov's eyes flicked briefly to the frozen charges beneath him. Then back. You had your chance. Still nothing. No movement. No reaction. Just presence. Behind him, Anton's voice broke through again. 10 seconds. Too fast now. Time had snapped back into place. Hard. Sharp. Unforgiving. Markov felt it pressing on him from all sides. He looked at his hand. Still gripping the detonator. Still ready. Then at the hand holding him back. He could feel it more clearly now. Not just cold. Empty. Like it wasn't trying to stop him. It was trying to understand him. The realization hit quietly. But it changed everything. This wasn't resistance. It was hesitation. From both sides. Markov exhaled slowly. If I don't, he said, almost to himself, it never ends. The figure tilted its head. A small movement. But it carried weight. Behind them, the shapes in the fog had drawn closer again. Not aggressive. Not violent. Just waiting. Like they had done before. Like they had always done. Caught. Between something unfinished. Markov looked past the figure. Through the shifting gray. He could see them more clearly now. Men frozen mid-step. Some reaching forward. Some turning back. Some just standing. All of them caught in the same moment. The same failure. The same hesitation. The bridge had held them here. Not out of cruelty. But because something had been left undone. Something simple. Something final. Destroy the crossing. Leave nothing behind. The order echoed in his mind. Clear. Unchanged. Untouched by everything that had happened since. Markov tightened his grip on the detonator. The hand on his wrist remained. But it didn't resist anymore. It just stayed. Present. He met the figure's gaze. Or where its gaze should have been. You were waiting for someone to finish it. No answer. But he didn't need one. He already knew. The first team had come. They had made it this far. And then. They had stopped. For a second. For a doubt. For a reason that no longer mattered. And that second had been enough. Enough to trap them here. Enough to leave the bridge standing. Enough to turn a simple mission into something that didn't belong to the war anymore. Markov's voice dropped to a whisper. I won't stop. The hand loosened. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Just enough. Enough for him to move. Behind him. 5 seconds. Anton's voice cracked completely now. Markov didn't look back. He didn't need to. This wasn't about timing anymore. It was about choice. He pressed his thumb against the trigger. Paused. Just for a fraction. Not from doubt. From understanding. Then. He pushed. Nothing happened. For a split second, nothing. The world held its breath. Then. A deep, internal crack surged through the bridge. Not from above. From within. The charges beneath him ignited unevenly. Delayed. Strained. But alive. The wood beneath his knees shuddered violently. The stone supports groaned. A sound rose from the river below. Loud. Violent. The ice finally breaking. Markov was thrown sideways as the bridge began to tear itself apart. The figure in front of him didn't move. Didn't fall. It simply remained. As the structure beneath it failed. Behind him, shouts erupted. Go! Go! Boots slammed against wood. Men running. Desperate. The fog exploded outward, ripped apart by the force of the blast. For a brief moment. Everything was visible. The river. The broken arches. The men. And the figures. All of them. Standing. Watching. As the bridge collapsed. Markov hit the ground hard, sliding across splintered wood and frozen debris. Pain shot through his side, but he forced himself up. Forced himself forward. Toward the edge. Toward the others. Mikhail grabbed his arm, pulling him clear as the last section gave way. They stumbled onto solid ground just as the center of the bridge disappeared into the dark water below. The sound of it echoed for seconds. Long. Heavy. Final. Then. Silence. Real silence. Not the kind that presses. Not the kind that watches. Just absence. Markov turned slowly. The fog was gone. The river moved freely now. Carrying broken pieces of wood and stone downstream. The far side of the crossing was empty. No shapes. No figures. No presence. Just open space. Cold. Still. Finished. Anton dropped to his knees, breathing hard. It worked. Petrov said nothing. He just stared at the water. At where the bridge had been. Sidorenko closed his eyes briefly. Like he was listening for something that wasn't there anymore. Mikhail looked at Markov. Not asking anything. Just understanding. Markov stood there. Silent. His eyes fixed on the river. On the place where it had all ended. Or finally been allowed to. The wind moved again. Naturally this time. Carrying the sound of distant artillery far away on the horizon. The war was still there. Unchanged. Waiting. But this part of it was over. Markov exhaled slowly. A breath he didn't realize he had been holding since they first saw the bridge. He turned away. No orders. No words. The men followed. One by one. Leaving the river behind. Leaving the silence. Leaving whatever had been holding on. And for the first time since they arrived. Nothing followed. The road ahead was empty. Cold. But real. And as they disappeared into the treeline, the sound of their footsteps faded naturally into the distance. No echoes. No distortion. Just men walking away. Far behind them, the river continued its quiet movement. Carrying with it the last remains of something that had waited too long. Something that had only needed one moment of certainty. One final decision. To be set free. And in the end, that was all it took. A single choice. Not to hesitate. Not to look back. But to finish what had been left undone. Because sometimes, in war, survival isn't about fighting harder. It's about knowing when something must end. And having the strength to end it. If this story resonated with you, subscribe to help us remember and share stories from the front lines. Stories from the past help us understand humanity in difficult times. Share your thoughts in the comments, every memory matters.